Well, let's talk to the editor of The Spectator, heavyweight political commentator and a pretty big Eurovision fan, Fraser Nelson. Good to talk to you, Fraser. So my understanding is that Romania hasn't won the Eurovision Song Contest. They have come third a couple of times. So I guess this will be bitterly disappointing for a lot of their fans.
Well, sure, and to anybody who's in favour of the kind of open competition that Eurovision is supposed to represent. I mean, Romania, remember, these were guys who, when they were behind the Iron Curtain, had to compete in the Soviet Intervision Song Contest. They've been very enthusiastic members of Eurovision, and they've made the final every single year since 2004. And their entries have been consistently higher ranked than Britain's. I mean, over the last 15 years, they've got more than twice as many points as the UK has. So they're better at this sort of thing than Britain. And their loss will be more sorely felt than if Britain were to decide not to enter.
In terms of the overall sense of enjoyment that viewers, fans will be attending that prestigious event, I mean, is it going to have much of an impact on them?
Well, yeah, sure. It's exactly the countries like Romania that make Eurovision such a joy to watch. It's the smaller countries who put all their heart and soul into it, who try to come out with songs that are not just musically original, as the Video Anton's one certainly was, but have got decent choreography that are interesting to watch. I mean, Romania's entry for this year was one of the best ones it's done in a long time. It would have probably got in the top 5 if it had been allowed to compete. And it's exactly that kind of diversity and the kind of sincerity with which they put their everything into these things that makes Eurovision so much fun. It's when countries like Britain turn up entries that nobody really thinks are any good that you feel, what am I bothering to watch this for? Romania, far more than Britain, makes Eurovision what it is.
From your knowledge, your understanding, Fraser, I mean, has this type of thing happened before where countries have been disqualified?
Yes, but only for reasonable reasons. I mean, Greece in 1983 was disqualified because they based their tune on a folk tune rather than an original one. It's got to be original. And then I think it was Albania in 2009 was disqualified for having political lyrics. I mean, quite often the lyrics of Eurovision songs are aimed at an enemy. Usually the enemy is Russia. But this time it was simply the want of money that made the EBU kick Romania out. And money is the corruption of Eurovision. It ought not to matter. I mean, the reason that Britain makes the final every year, even though our songs are rubbish, is because we give so much money to Eurovision authorities, but they put us in the final automatically. I would feel far happier if money were taken out of the equation and the poorer countries like Romania were able to compete on a level pegging.
And Fraser, looking at our own homegrown talents, how do you think they'll fare this time round?
We've made a little bit more effort than usual, but I mean, normally Britain's Eurovision entry is so bad as to be a passive-aggressive insult to an entire continent. I think this year is a little bit better, but we still haven't, I think the people who choose our entries haven't quite worked out yet, but this is the world's most watched non-sporting event. We need to make a lot more of our own talent set on the Eurovision stage, and we've still got a pretty long way to go, I'm afraid.
So, Fraser, I take it you've been pretty unimpressed with the UK's entries in recent years?
Yeah, sure. I mean, any Brit would be embarrassed watching this. We are brilliant at music as a country. We export it to the world. And yet every time Eurovision comes along, the whole world can see Britain suck. We've got Bonnie Tyler or Humperdinck, kind of artists that in no way reflect the quality and variety of talent we've got in this country. It's almost like a kind of soft Europhobia animates the organisers of Britain's Eurovision entry. If we were to do what Romania did, have a proper contest with 3 or 4 semi-finals, have people vote on it, tens of thousands of people, then we might get something close to giving real British talent to Eurovision. But the Romanian approach to it has been far more democratic, far more broad-minded than the British bureaucratic approach, where a bunch of guys in a closed room over the years have been picking the winner and saying, right, you're so bad, you'll probably win in Europe. They never do.
OK, Fraser Nelson, editor of The Spectator, heavy political commentator and avid Eurovision fan, clearly. Thanks for joining us this afternoon on Sky News.